Hey everybody, it's Small Town Critic here with your review. Sorry it's been a couple of weeks since I had a review up. I'm hopefully going to do this a little bit more regularly now. Also, you'll notice too that I'm a little bit more grizzled right now. It's the middle of November. November is a time to remind people to go see their doctor if you haven't had your annual physical yet. I would remind you to go do that. It's always good to have an annual physical. Most insurances, if you have insurance, pays for an annual physical and it's free. It helps catch any healthcare concerns that happen before they hopefully get a lot worse or before you have to go to see the doctor for those healthcare concerns. Plus, it's just a good time to just check in, get your blood checked out, see how your blood levels are doing, how's your blood pressure as well too. So, with that all being said, we're going to take a look at Charlie's Angels. Da-da-da. Yeah, so this film is, Charlie's Angels is written and directed by Elizabeth Banks and stars Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, and Ella Balinska. Hopefully I said that last name right on the last one. Elizabeth Banks, surprise, surprise, is also in this picture too. And again, you might have heard of Elizabeth Banks before. She's a pretty well-known actress. She was in the Lego movies. She was Wildstar's voice, Lucy/Wildstar's voice. And she also was in Modern Family. I think the TV series is a recurring character. She's been in a lot of different things. You can look her up on IMDb, and she's been in a lot of things. Now, this is her second directorial debut. Her first one was Pitch Perfect 2. You know, it is what it is. But you can tell that she has not directed an action movie before, which is sort of unfortunate because Charlie's Angels is an action movie. And so you can sort of see the way that she framed the scenes that it was more, I think, have to do with her being a comedic writer than her being an action director, I should say. She was a action. So let me try that again. So Elizabeth Banks, you can see, so she was director of Pitch Perfect 2, and you can sort of see that's how she directed her action scenes. So her action scenes were more, I think, influenced by the comedy movie than by other action movies. I mean, the trend right now is to do one long action shot, and you have everything sort of happen in a wide shot. And so she doesn't really do that. She does sort of piecemeal. Chris Stuckman had a good analogy in that, you know, if one of the angels was going to jump onto a villain, you'd have a frame shot of the angel pushing off the wall. You'd have a frame shot of her putting her arm around the guy's neck, and then a frame shot of her riding on the back of a bad guy, as opposed to having one long shot where that sort of happens. And I think people are appreciating that more and more, having one longer shot. I agree with that too, because I think if you look back in the 2000s and 2010s, a lot of the action scenes were really close, and you didn't get a whole view of the action, and that was really hard for a lot of folks. I know for myself too. Like, I remember one of the Star Trek movies, or the reboot of the Star Trek movie, there was just so much action. It was just right up next to your face that you couldn't see the wide angles of the ships interacting and stuff like that. And it's this very similar case here with this particular movie as well too. Now, this is the first movie that Elizabeth Banks has written, and you can sort of see it. The plot is really bad. And I was telling my son about this because he went to see it with me. We talked about tropes. You know, what are those things that, you know, you hear a spy movie, there's a certain trope that goes with this. And if you've seen a spy movie before, this is basically the trope that goes with the spy movie. You know, it's sort of like the trope. Well, the funny thing is they had a Geico ad where the people are running from a killer and they go hide behind the chainsaws. I mean, or they go, should we go to the attic or should we go to the basement? You know, so it's, you know, there's tropes in different genres of movies, and this one definitely fit the trope model pretty well. And to its detriment. I mean, it didn't do the trope very well. Like I said, when you know the twist at 5 minutes into the movie, that's not a good sign. The dialogue was very cringy at times. Patrick Stewart is one of the characters in there, and some of the lines they gave him, I'm like, what? I'm like, he delivers it with gusto, but I'm like, holy cow, that was a line? Yeah, the dialogue was just bad. The plot was horrible. And, you know, the thing that I think it saved it though was a lot of the three main actresses had really good chemistry on screen. I mean, they played off each other very well, and they did as best they could with how bad the writing was, and that sort of saved the movie for me. Now, it's not as bad as a lot of the other films I've seen already. Some of the bad movies I've seen this year. So, what could have made this movie better? I think there's a prime example. I think a lot as I've been doing the movie critic thing. There's a lot of things I was talking to my son about too. What could there? I mean, the basis of the movie, there was a lot of bad writing, but what could the writer have done differently to make this movie better? Excuse me. So let's talk about that. So the character, the actress who played Elena, Naomi Scott's character, Elena, is an example of how we could talk about how this movie could have been better. So a lot of times, the way that I see that I get the most satisfaction out of a character is that they start one way and they end up totally different at the end. So in this particular case, Naomi Scott's character, Elena, she turns into an angel. So she's empowered. She has all these, she does a lot of more physical type of stuff. She's jumping on airplanes. She's doing karate. She's doing all this other fun stuff at the end. And she's the super spy. Okay, so at the beginning of the movie, though, she doesn't have this problem with like self-confidence. She doesn't have, there's not this big shift in her. She's very smart at the beginning. She's still very smart at the end. You know, she has some physicality at the beginning of the movie. She's got more physicality at the end. There's not a change. You know, there's not this self-doubt that she's had or anything like that. And so I think if that character, if they would have made Elena more doubting of herself, very timid, not, you know, if they would have changed that from the early part to the later part, I think that would have helped the character arc a lot better. And same with the other two angels too. They give them brief descriptions. Well, this one doesn't like to work with other people, and this one does, or this one has a problem with this one. You know, they don't explore those things, and I think you can do that with 2 or 3 scenes that would help make the characters more. You can see a better character arc. You can see growth. So I think if you're an aspiring screenwriter out there, that's what you need to do. You need to make your characters grow, you know, and you could take a well-licensed thing like Charlie's Angels and make those characters grow, and more people are going to appreciate those characters and stuff like that. So I know that's a tangent, but I think that's something that I think is important to keep saying each and every time. What would make this movie better? And that's, I think, what I'm going to start adding into my movie reviews is what would have made this movie better. The writing would have been better. If the writing would have been better, this is one way the writing could have been better in order for the movie to succeed. So overall, what would I give Charlie's Angels? I'd give it a C-. It's slightly worse than your average movie. It's not horrible, but there's so many movies that are so much better are done. There are so many movies that are done a lot better, and this could have been done a lot better. Well, everybody, I hope you are having a good time. Like I said, I hope to be having more reviews out weekly. I'm going to be getting maybe a new computer, which is going to help with my video editing shortly, so that hopefully that'll make it easier for me to do videos, because right now it takes me forever. I have a very old computer in order to do video editing and stuff like that, one that takes me about half an hour to just do a short clip like this one. So hopefully I'll be getting a new one of that, and that'll help with my video outload. Also, is there any other topics you sort of like would talk about with film? And maybe I'll start talking about that and bringing it up as well too. Well, if you like this, again, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, pass this along to your friends as well too. Say, hey, you know, and if there's a movie that you'd like me to see in the next coming weeks, that's one hard thing about being a critic. You can only see so many, at least for me, I have a daytime job, and so I don't always get a chance to get out to see a bunch of movies. So if there's a movie you want me to go see, let me know in the comment sections below, and if it's at my local theater, I'll go see it and review it. So, well, everybody, have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.